Lately, Valkyr has been one of my favorite frames to mess around with. She's incredibly strong with her base kit, and if you prefer to use external melee weapons, she will still shred through every single content in the game. With the introduction of Arcane Persistence, health tanking on Valkyr has become extremely easy. Combined with her insane armor, her survivability is through the roof, is one of the strongest in the game. In this video, I'll be showing 3 Valkyr builds. One focus on her Exalted weapon and 2 subsume builds. One with Roar and one with Gloom, giving you multiple options depending on how you want to play her. Let's quickly get over Valkyr's kit. Her passive revolves around a rage meter, which you can see on the custom UI while playing her. Rage stacks up to 300%, increasing her damage by the same amount. If Valkyr takes fatal damage while above 150% rage, the meter is consumed and she gains 5 seconds of invulnerability. Her first ability, Ripline, is honestly what makes her so much fun and what got me to play her a lot. She fires a hook that pulls her in the direction that she lands. Basically just a Spider-Man the way through the map. If it hits an enemy, it groups nearby foes and performs a melee attack. It makes it great for fast movement, mission flow, and especially open areas like the Perimeter Revolution. Her second ability, Warcry, is a buff that grants attack speed and armor to you and nearby teammates. It is extremely strong, but constant recasting can be annoying. So we are gonna be using the Eternal War Augment, which extends the Warcry duration by 2 seconds per melee kill. Her third ability, Paralysis, slows down the enemies in an area and applies melee vulnerability. It's not something that you'll particularly use often, but against tanky enemies like Eximus units, Babaus, Acolytes, or other bosses, it will make kills way quicker. Finally, Hysteria pulls Valkyr's Exalted weapon, her Talons. While active, she gains knockdown and status immunity, triple armor from Warcry, and built-in lifesteal. Most important thing, her base jump made her do flips like a ball in like Sonic, though this is purely cosmetic, it's just fun to see. Alright, let's get into the first build. The first build is centered around Arcane Persistence. Arcane Persistence makes it so you lose all your shields, and if you have more than 700 armor, you cannot take more than 500 damage per second. Meaning, it's great for health tanking, but you still need a way to heal at most 500 damage a second to fully health tank. Valkyr base armor is already 1000, so we don't have to worry about the armor requirement. To counter the damage arcane limit, we're gonna be using the lifesteal from Hysteria. With a bit of a strength investment, the Talon lifesteal goes from 100 to 232 per hit. That means that you only need to land about 3 attacks per second to fully sustain, which is trivial with Warcry and the attack speed that the Talons have. Our second arcane in the build is gonna be Arcane Battery, which bases off Valkyr's armor for max energy. Using Umbral Fiber, we push our energy pool from 225 all the way to 825. Since we need an HP buffer and the ability strength, we use all the Umbral mods for the set bonus. This will give us a roughly 2800 armor, 1000 energy, and more than 2000 health. If you don't want to use the Umbral format, you can replace these mods with the normal versions, which should be a weaker build, but at the same time, it will still work just fine. Moving on, we use Eternal War for Warcry uptime, Growing Power and Transient Fortitude for strength, and Continuity to offset the duration loss, which also increases the Eternal War extension per kill to just about 2.8 seconds, so it's a little easier to upkeep, though you should be killing way more enemies, so it's irrelevant. Next up, Stretch improves Ripline range and the enemy grouping. The last two are flexible. Here, I run Nearest Hatred and Anguish. Since Talon's heavy attack count as the slams, this boosts Tennokai damage quite nicely. If you notice, we don't have any way to regenerate energy. To fix this, I run 2 Violent Arcane Shards to simulate equilibrium. One is technically enough, but I prefer the comfort. If you don't want to use the shards, you can simply slot in Equilibrium instead of Nearest Hatred. It's gonna be less damage, but it's gonna be easier to sustain the energy. The remaining shards are gonna be crit damage, because big numbers are fun. For focus, I usually run Naruman for slow combo decay. If I'm doing Void Cascade, I swap to Matarite and use primary and secondary dex arcanes to keep combo duration up. Each arcane will give you 7.5 seconds of combo duration. For the Talons, we are running a standard melee influence setup. At this point, you should probably know how it works, but in short, whenever you proc electricity on your melee, it spreads all elemental status effect to enemies within 20 meters. If you are hitting multiple targets and the influence procs, the damage ramps up extremely fast. The build itself is pretty straightforward. We use the Spring-Loaded Blade and Reach for range, Berserker Fury for attack speed, Blood Rush and Galvanized Steel for critical chance and critical damage, Weeping Wounds and Galvanized Elementalist for status chance and status damage, and Shocking Touch for electricity. For the Exilus slot, I run any Tenokai mod, though Discipline's Merit is the best option here, since the Talon's attack speed is so quick that it will almost always be active. The companion choice really doesn't really matter. I usually run Nautilus for extra grouping, but anything that you want can be used here. The important mods though are Seismic Bond for efficiency while channeling abilities, and Sin Deconstruct to generate extra orbs for energy sustain. The second build we are gonna look at replaces Hysteria with Roar, making it ideal for leveling weapons or just steamrolling through any content with any melee. Here we swap to Arcane Fury, giving us 180% melee damage. The build is mostly identical to the first, but I like using Arcane Stretch for some extra energy regen. It's not needed, but it's really nice to have. Since we are no longer using the Talons, we need to replace the Amar set with Adaptation for survivability and Prime Sure-Footed for knockdown immunity. If you don't have Prime Sure-Footed like me, you can use Fortitude instead of Adaptation and still hit 100% knockdown resistance. In general use, I don't particularly find it needed, but it's always nice to have. For the weapons, here you can use any melee that you want to. I use dual Ichor since the Incarnate is super strong combined with Valkyr's passive is a no-brainer. Just like before, this is gonna be a melee influence build, I know, shocking. We use Galvanized Elementalist and Weeping Wound for status, Galvanized Steel for critical chance and critical damage, Pressure Point for base damage, Shocking Touch to add electricity. Because the dual Ichors already have a built-in Toxin, we have to add Cold with Vicious Frost and Virulent Scourge to create Viral, while keeping the electricity uncombined. The ribbon that I have gives me critical damage and electricity, but it's completely unnecessary. You can just replace it with Gladiator Mind and get pretty much the same results. You will also notice that there is no attack speed mod in here. That's intentional, since Warcry already provides more than enough attack speed on its own. One quick side note, this build can sometimes struggle to build combo because it kills enemies a little too fast. If that happens, a simple fix is just using the Rauda, Cooler Voice Shotgun. Each pellet adds 2 combo count. So just mod it for multi-shot and low damage. Build your combo almost instantly and then swap back to the melee and continue the mission. The final build combines the elements of the first two. Instead of Roar, we are be subsuming Gloom, which provides lifesteal to fully cover the Arcane Persistence, let you health tank into level cap. Here we run Persistence and Arcane Fury. Since we are dropping Arcane Battery, we're gonna slot Flow instead. The build deals less damage than the Roar setup, but in exchange it offers extreme survivability and works with any melee that you prefer, even at level cap. And that's it for my Valkyr builds. If you decide to play her, let me know. She's easily my favorite frame right now. Slinging around maps and tearing through enemies just feels incredible. And I've taken her to level cap multiple times without any issues. Also, a quick thank you. My Aya guide passed 20,000 views. I really appreciate the support you have all been giving me, especially on a small channel like me. If you enjoyed the video and found it helpful, consider subscribing and let me know in the comments which Warframe do you want to see next. Thank you for watching, enjoy the gameplay footage, and I will see you on the next time.
into the hell that was the Karita Rebellion. And remember,